Don't we just love Mondays? Nine to 5 is over. Kinda driving home. Tuned to the one and only Joy 99.7 FM. You're just waiting for that voice. Many of you waiting for the proverb. Some of you have memorized it. And whatever happens, I will say it and I'll repeat it. So say after me then. Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. And I'll say that again. Folks, I said until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. Well, hello and welcome to the most opinionated hour on radio and the nation's moment of reality. Welcome to another edition of the show I call That's My Opinion. Folks, it's Monday again, and great minds have gathered under the great oak tree to listen to the grey old man. Yeah, that's me, the grey old man. The number of people I meet outside, and they just follow me on radio and assume that I must be a grey old man. So maybe I am a grey old man. To tell provoking stories under the moonlit skies with the soft northeast trade winds blowing across our little village. And today I am asking, whose flock is Nam 1? Oh yes, whose flock is Nam 1? Well, very strange angle to the ongoing saga, but then again, that's what we do. We discuss angles less discussed. We touch on angles that maybe people haven't wondered there. Folks, but let me throw in a couple of observations before we tackle the main issue. Now, firstly, it's this constitution that we have. I don't know, maybe somewhere in there it's hidden that do not punish wrongdoers. Or maybe it says do not enforce the law. Maybe there's somewhere lawyers could help us. Now, with regards to this over height load that constantly hits the overpass on the N1, causing damage. Folks, if we had seized and auctioned a couple of vehicles, including whatever load is on, if we've auctioned a couple of trucks to repair the damage, instead of burdening the same old taxpayer over and over and over again, I am sure within my heart that this nonsense would have stopped. We would have gone to sleep, and the driver coming would have measured and make sure that his load is the right height. But in this case, they know nothing is going to happen, because as we speak now, I am sure some chiefs and pastors have queued up already, going to beg on the driver's behalf. And so the status quo remains. And so the status quo remains. Yemfam menyame, onipana yebone, monfancheno, and yet he knew that the load was higher than the overpass. Folks, my next beef is that, and this is a serious one, folks, in every developing country, one of the major factors in that country's development is land. Land. And here we are with 80% of our lands in the hands of chiefs and family heads as custodians. Now I feel, folks, with what's happening with regards to lands and traditional areas, I feel that I have to open the can of worms of what's going on. And it will shock you, to blow your mind. As we are always pointing fingers at politicians, maybe we need to look at ourselves, particularly chiefs and family heads and Ebusia Penyins who are running the show outside of the cities. We need to look within ourselves, starting from my own hood and traditional area. Folks, it's mind-boggling and embarrassing. Chiefs in the business of me, myself, and I. I mean, can you imagine? Chiefs in the business of me, myself, and I. One of the cardinal rule of every chief, every traditional person, is that whatever you do, think, breathe, if whatever even you think, you should think of the unborn, the living, and even those that are dead. Cardinal that every chief should abide by. So is it not shocking for chiefs to be thinking of me, myself, and I? The unborn might as well not be born, and those who are dead might as well not have been born at all. But stay tuned. I think one day Abil could give me more time, and we'll bring this subject matter to discuss, to see what's happening also in traditional areas. Every day politicize. I need to one day come and you see what's happening within the traditional and chieftaincy circles. But today I have come with something quite different. Some may say weird. And somehow I feel you may not fully agree with me, but that's what it is. It's my opinion. We agree to disagree agreeably. We disagree agreeably. You can add to, take some out, but in any case, it's to make the black man a better person. And so I am asking for your attention, as the subject matter may be a bit confusing. So, bear with me. And I will try and simplify it and make it brief as I can. Now, at the moment, I have one. My own brother, colleague, Redwan Ibrahim Asante from a sports desk sides with me. My own dear wife, Awood Answa, disagrees with me. So, as it goes, we have one. Folks, now all this saga going on with regards to Appiah Mensah and Men's Gold, with many people whose fate are now hanging in the wind. Some with dire consequences. Some with unthinkable burdens. Well, I have reserved my opinion on the main issues. I don't think they need me to rub more salt in their wounds. But why am I asking whose flock is number one? Where does he fellowship? Which church does he go to? We know he went to a disco, just like Harry Sintima Bwaji. Uncle. My good uncle, he loves cars. So when I was a young guy, I really liked him because he always comes to the house with a sports car. And Redwan Ibrahim Asante, my good loudmouth colleague from the sports desk. I mean, you must love Redwan. Redwan also went to a disco. You cannot, it's unable to hate Echikwam, man. If you've worked with somebody like Echikwam, you'd be amazed how can he be a boss, man. Echikwam also went to a disco. Folks, Joe Youngson was doing a report of some sort on NAM1. And as he was going through the report and everything, someone asked if NAM1 went to St. Augustine's, where Kwejo went to. He quickly responded in negative. As if to say, no, there's no way St. Augustine's will produce a NAM1 type, if I may use such a word. And had it not been the issues that are, affecting people were that serious, I'm sure he would have gone further, to tease the Adisco boys and punch a bit more holes. Indeed, someone said, Adisco is now a NAM1 school. So basically, people who went to Adisco are not too proud or not too happy that one of their own is in such a trouble. They don't want to belong. They don't want to associate with NAM1. But moving on from there, you take girls from Infantsiman, Moga, my own wife. She's a Moga, blue blood Moga. And they pride themselves as a school that brings out the girl power in you. They say they conducted the first coup d'etat. In the school, they stood their ground. A school that produces successful and uprightness in girls. And those who attended will come out with these qualities. That's the brand the school is promising, and they stand by it. Folks, the maximum nowadays that one can spend in a secondary school is 6 years. That's if the JSS is attached to the senior high school. In my days, it was 7, Form 1 to Upper 6. You do Form 1 to 5, and then you do Lower 6 and Upper 6. And the institution promises to form you and make you a good citizen. And yes, some will not make the mark. But that's the brand promise and the general rule. And so if you pick Achimota and the Accra people, yes, they pride themselves that, look, coming out of Achimota, look, they are what it is. St. John's, will tell you that, students that came out of St. John's are good citizens. And Price Secondary School will say the same. Accra Academy, no less, tell you that, hey, Accra boys, Blair boys, they are a bit rough on the edges. They are the makers of men. They are not going to be drinking tea from teacups and whatever it is, but they will produce. And that's their brand. And Kwatia Secondary School will tell you that, yes, people who come out of here are Kratchi for. And they all want you to believe that after going through the school, you should be a good citizen. My own boss, Odeneho Kwafu Akoto III, went to a Nim secondary school, just like Vladimir and Chidansu. And they speak of how the school shaped them because there was uncompromising Presbyterian discipline. And so when they came out of school, they had no choice but to be good people. The school just did not give them the room, to be non-entities. And they speak of the teachers and the headmasters who were strict, who formed them. And the maximum they could have spent in the school was 7 years. So schools pride themselves when their sons become president. Prepper College could not have enough of President Kufuor. Wesley Grammar is head over heels with the First Lady Rebecca. They want the world to know that they played a major part in producing such a fine lady. And so I am asking, when will churches just like the school also stand up and own up that those who fellowship here are upright people? When will churches? The churches are a place of uprightness and morality and all things positive and good and Christ. That comes from the church. And so when will they also own up that those who fellowship here are upright? That you will not catch them in a traffic offense. That offenders don't come to this church. That there's no way somebody will come to this church and be an I'm one. After going through Sunday school and going through Boys Brigade and YPG and Men's Fellowship, basically spending a whole lifetime in the church, can the church also stand up and say, look, my congregation or my flock are positive people. They pay their taxes, they don't cheat, they don't bribe, and they follow the rules. Because schools are doing it and they only have a little time, maximum 7 years. And still, they are standing by their brand. That if you give me your son for 7 years, if you give me your daughter for 7 years, I'll make a great man or woman out of him or her. Now, let me tell you a story. This is many, many, many years ago. Now, I nearly mentioned the name. Sorry. Now, he was a commander he's a naval commander. So as a young man, anytime he would come in all his white, I wanted to join the Navy. I mean, come on, he was a role model. And many, many years ago, now everyone, those of you who are following me know I don't like football. I have no love for the game. But he came to the house and my father said, oh, Commander, I've been seeing you for a while. Where did you go? And he says, oh, I went with my wife to go and watch the World Cup. I could not believe it. I mean, this was, somewhere late 70s. Really? I couldn't believe that people actually traveled to go and watch the World Cup. I mean, those days when Pele and, all these big names, you just watch them on a black and white TV and it seemed so far away. Now, it haunted me so much so that in 2006, couple of friends and I, we drove all the way from London to Dortmund to watch Black Stars play Brazil. Now, when we got there, there was a mix-up with the tickets. And so I said, okay, then I was, didn't mind going and watch the football at the sports bar so that my friends could go. And they were shocked that, really? I mean, you would give your ticket out so you wouldn't go? Folks, I didn't really want to watch the match. But I just wanted to put it on my CV, just like Commander said many, many years ago that the Korea World Cup. Eventually, we found the ticket, and so I was able to go into the stadium to watch the match. And so I can also proudly say my World Cup. But that's how just that one answer many, many years ago festered in me. But I diverted a bit. Let me come back. Folks, Commander went to GSTS, right? And apparently his father was a priest. Presbyterian priest. Those days when the priest was almost, the overlord. Was a big deal. Now he took Commander to, well, he wasn't a commander then, but he took him to GSTS. And he was in Form 1, either second week in Form 1 or second term in Form 1 or something. His father came home and there he was. Commander was home. What are you doing here? And says, I've been, suspended. And then, what he got suspended for? So, well, I was caught smoking. So the father didn't say anything. Apparently at dawn, he hired a taxi from Suhum, put his son in there, straight to Takoradi. Call me headmaster. And headmaster, if they say Osofo is looking for you, was a big deal. Headmaster hurriedly came there. He was Osofo sat in there and says, oh, Papa Osofo, how can I help you? He says, I came home yesterday and my son was home. He said, oh, yes. It was a bit of truancy, so we suspended him. So Osofo says, for what? So, well, he was caught with a couple of lads smoking marijuana. And the Osofo said, headmaster, I've stayed with my son, nurtured him for the past 13, 14, 15 years. I brought him here. He didn't even know how to smoke a cigarette. 2 weeks later, you bring him back that he's smoking marijuana. Please, it is your problem. I give you my son for a term and a half, and you return him that he's smoking marijuana. He says, my taxi is out there. Tell the Beza to pay for it, because I am going back home. So what the Osofo was saying that, listen, once you own somebody, you should be able to form that person. And I'm thinking, the way churches are becoming big, the way church leaders are becoming powerful and influential, they are commanding crowds and crowds and crowds, hiring bigger audiences and bigger spaces for churches. Is it just for church sake? Or can they really stand and say, listen, people who are my flock are exemplary? Should they be able to say that? That listen, people who I have shepherded don't go astray. And that even if 99 come and one goes astray, I will go and find them. So that it becomes a brand of the church, so that we see people and we can just identify that, no, this is a church A person or that's a church B person. Or is it just has it just become something we just do on Sunday? So that's why I'm asking. That this one individual who's put so many people in so much stress and everything, but leave him aside. There's just too many ones in different ways going on. Those breaking traffic laws, those dodging their taxes, just doing everything to bring a nation down. And yet still we are all shepherds or flocks of a shepherd. And I'm asking, that these shepherds, are they just shepherds for shepherd's sake? Or just like how the schools are branding and owning and claiming that, listen, everything about us is positive, even though we have your word for a shorter period, churches should be able to stand and say yes. Those that are Presbyterians, Catholics, ICGC, Action, all these churches and numerous numbers of churches should be able to stand up and say, yes, people who fellowship with us are upright people. So that is my question today. Maybe you think, look, the church is just a church and it doesn't matter. People who fellowship there can just come to church and after that go out and just be whoever it is they want to be. Or you think that the church, just like the school, should be able to stand up and own up and say, no, people who fellowship here, they pay their tithe, their names are in the books. When they die, we go and bury them. When they're going to get married, we take the lead. When they're going to name their children, we are there. So people who fellowship here, we can put it on our chest that, listen, these guys are upright people because we have put the truth in them. And the number is 0302216541. But before you even call me, MTN wishes to apologize for the network challenge experienced by a section of its customers in the Greater Accra and Eastern region this evening. The disruption in service is as a result of multiple fiber cuts in Accra. The challenge is being worked on by our engineers. MTN sincerely apologizes for any inconveniences caused. Thank you very much. Let me see who's going to be my first caller. Hello.
Hi, Nana.
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
Nana.
Yes, who am I talking to?
My name is Joy. I'm calling from Tema.
Let me hear you.
I'm Nana Dansworth's neighbor, where her house is.
Oh, that's great.
In Gulf City, yeah.
Oh,
Nana, permission to speak freely, sir.
Yes, let's go.
Nana, 2019. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to worry. I don't want to carry the world on my shoulder. Whose flock is number one? Daddy, Nanai, number one, whether he's a member of Church A or Church B or Church C. Daddy, answer now. The year came to an end. Even our pastors, our so-called shepherds, look at the size of the log in their eyeballs, covering their people, covering the white of their eyes. Daddy, omo ya wada idea. Omo ya wada idea. Omo de be say ya bompa ya maya ne mako ya maya. Daddy, what's the number one? Sorry, be na hwe ne so, ana hwa na ye ne shepe, hwa na ye ne sofo. Only owo bi kra woni bi. See the whole world, even the smallest child, it's practically raising themselves. Look, we are so much in a hurry to own everything. Children come back from school, no mother is home, no daddy is home. You know, so these days sometimes no auntie, no grandmother, no uncle. They go straight to either TV or laptop or computer, and they are chatting with www. That is a whole wild world. Who is watching who now? Who is raising who now? Sad state of affairs. Nana, sad state of affairs. Like you said, we have numbers all over. People jamming red lights. People selling at prices that they know very well it is wrong. People selling rotten food. People selling expired food. People taking bribes. People paying bribes. Look, now, to get to a school, almost a free education. To get your child into any one of these free educations, by the time you come back home, you would wish you would have paid the school fees times 3. It's just sad. I am praying there's a genie someday that all Daniels will line up. Then the genie will say, wish for one thing you want for your country. And all of us, our shepherd will tell us we should all wish we start all over again. You remember that day Nkrumah stood there and said, Ghana, you're free forever. You understand? I wish a genie would come and then let all of us line up, stand in front of Independence Square or something, a big stadium that can contain all 30 million of us. And then all of us will raise our right hands and tell God in heaven, we want to start again. And this is how they are. Daddy, even if we can name the flock, if we can name the shepherd, and then one by one, Obia all 30 million of us, Obia Kodina sorry enim, Ekodina ni sofu enim, Ekodina ni sofu mami enim, Ekodina we enim poa. Daddy.
Thank you very much. That was one emotional one from Joy, my neighbor in Tema. Thank you very much. 0302216541. And Abiku is hustling on the phone. Everybody wants to chip in on this one. But yes, why not? This one says the church is the biggest culprit because of their misinterpretation of scriptures. It's not good for the man, Adam, to be alone. I believe God said this because God thought it was wise that the man, Adam, needed someone to help him co-manage the Garden of Eden. In the same vein, I believe that the statement also cannot be in essence of unity, that we shouldn't live in isolation. We need each other to get by, but they hammer that you must marry without examining the psychological readiness of a person to allow another different person to enter their abode. I feel for women and how society look down on unsuccessful ones just because they are not married. One man said a woman who comes to this earth and not giving birth is useless. Look at that. Good morning, Adam to all. I think I read the wrong message, but it was good. Let me speak to Samson. Hello, Samson.
Hello, Nana.
Yes, boss.
Now, please, Your Royal Highness.
Talk to me.
And I have permission to return.
No, you have permission to stick to the subject.
Yes, Nana.
You only have permission to stick to the subject. Let me hear you. Nana,
there is no way, as traditionalists, you get close to somebody's wife. So, let's go to Jehovah's Witness. Who did the adoring and the naming ceremony?
Simile. Samson, what's with you and Jehovah's Witness? Samson is my son, for the record, and every day he calls me, and we have a little fight on the radio, but he's the first person to come to the palace to pay homage. 0302216541. And please, Santa Clausians and amused, though probably the Orthodox churches could vouch for their flock, but our new churches are business-making enterprises and affiliates only with the rich in their congregation. Hence, as long as you contribute the largest, you are the front seat and dine with the head pastors regardless of source of income. Let's hope his church will, before the end of your program, let's hope his church will be found before the end of your program. This is Nana in Spinkters Road. 0302216541. I am saying, just like schools pride themselves, even banks, folks, sometimes even banks want to promise you that, look, people who work in this bank are sharp and straight. And Charles is on the phone. Hello, Charles.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Charles.
Yeah. And this function, I just go where to get something. Personally, I take it as a joke. I mean, it's just a joke. There's nothing like any human being who will pass through a system and be perfect. And when you come to the church, if you read Matthew chapter 13, Jesus Christ himself is not expecting any particular church to say that as for the people who come to so and so congregation, they cannot do this. It will make Jesus even a liar for us to expect that there's a church like that. There's no church like that. It's made up of human beings who are sinners, who will continue to sin. Some will repent and some will remain unrepentant. Thank you.
Well, thank you. But if you had listened to me, I was saying it's a general brand that a church should say that people who come here are like this. It doesn't mean that every single soul in the church is going to be like Christ. And but I won't argue plenty. But Domi is Joseph. Hello, Joseph.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope you're fine.
I am good.
We thank God. Mm-hmm. Yes, I like the question you posed. It's a good question. But then I think that if you do that comparison as what happens in school, the discipline, and that the school can put its finger on its chest and say, the people I produce will not do A, B, C, D. Can the church also do the same thing? I think for the school, fear, you'll be punished if you don't do certain things. Yeah, certain traditions, if you don't follow, you will be punished. So the thing is instilled in them. They instill that discipline in them, whether you like it or not. So by the time they come out, it has become part and parcel of their life. I mean, we all went through the same training, so I shouldn't say I'm part of it. But then, if you look at the church is a liberal place. There's liberty. Even God himself doesn't impose himself on anybody. God doesn't force anybody to accept things or do things against the person's will. So in the church, what happens is that I am not holding beef for pastors.
No.
Yes, there are some who are not doing well at all. But some are also doing well, because all that a pastor can do is to share, is to give the word of God, which is the food of the soul, to the flock. So after the pastor has done this, it is left with the flock to go out there and decide that I will practice what my pastor has taught me in church, or I will not practice it. So it becomes the decision, entirely, a decision that is solely the person who is the subject, or the person who has been taught, his decision or her decision. So I think that, in conclusion, I'm trying to say that the reason why the church cannot come out to say that as a church I have trained people, I've trained my members, and I know they won't do A, B, C, D, is that the church is a liberal place. People go there voluntarily, and they are taught. You can't force somebody to go and practice what you have taught the person. And let us also not forget that it is the Holy Spirit who works in us. Philippians chapter 2, verse number 12, he tells, Paul says that it is God who works in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. So, so for God to be able to work in you, for you to go out there and do what pleases God, and that society will also be happy about, it depends on the individual, how much the person commits himself or herself, or the person decides that I want the Holy Spirit to use me, I want the Holy Spirit to control my life so that I will be a good product out there.
Thank you very much. There's lots of people on the line. Jonathan is in Accra. Hello, Jonathan.
Yeah, hello. Your Royal Highness.
Yes, boss.
This is a friend of yours called Prof. Anyway.
Hi.
I'm just trying to tell the lady who just spoke now.
Yeah.
That the church is not a liberal. I have a different view. The church is not a liberal place. Religions are the ones who have told everybody in the world that they are the ones for the right. They will do only what is right, and they even check people and will put people in hell to do the right thing. Why can't they do the right things themselves? So I think that all Nana is trying to say is that they should know better. That is what it is. But on the part of number one, I want to beg to differ a bit, with all due respect to the law and all protocol. That I think, in my view, that gold was lying everywhere in this country, everywhere, and Chinese, every foreigner comes and takes it away for nothing, for 500 years. This young guy very cleverly thought of a way of making this thing useful and people benefit from it. And with due respect, I'm not saying that, I'm not defending him, a lawyer for him or whatever. But this, in my view, personal view, is a clever way this guy came up with something. So I think this is all about pull him down.
Thank you very much. Many people will disagree with you, but Ernest is on the line. Hello, Ernest.
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening, Ernest. Ernest, do you agree with me that as a church, the church should be able to hold itself as listen, people who come to this church, I have taught them well enough not to break traffic rules, not to drop litter on the floor, not to abuse children, not to dress improperly, not to speak disgustingly because they came to this church. Should a church be able to have that brand? It doesn't mean every single soul would, but it should be a brand that
my brother, it used to be. You see, sometimes I don't know what is wrong with us. It used to be. My brother, when you meet a Presbyterian, by the time you speak with him for 5-10 minutes, you yourself will be saying it in your mind, wait, you're a Presbyterian. By the time you meet a Pentecost lady, by the time you speak with him for some time, this lady comes from Pentecost. Today, what is happening is that even the pastors themselves are worse than Nanwa. That is the fact. Some 10 years ago, an old man told me something, which I did not believe then, but now it's clear to me. And this is what he said. He said when they were worshipping idols, who dare you steal somebody's mango? Who dares you take somebody's coconut, which has fallen? So their coconut can fall and be on the ground for a week until they are ready, nobody will touch it. Because when you touch it, you will die. Today, we claim we are Christians, and we have become thieves, and there's stealing all over. 10 years ago, and I disagree with him. Today, I have seen that it is nothing but more than the truth. Christianity has made us more corrupt. We are thieves everywhere, and nobody is checking us. And I pity this nation. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you too. These days we don't wait for the coconut to fall. We climb the tree. We'll climb the tree ourselves. But Mark is in Accra. Hello, Mark.
Hello. Good evening, Nana.
Good evening, Mark.
Yeah, this day we don't wait for the coconut to fall indeed. This is an interesting topic, and I feel very sad when I hear the contributions that are coming from others. In fact, the church shouldn't be a liberal place. The church is an institution, and unlike the schools, the church has values and principles that members who agree to join and to serve Christ must follow. It is like a school. So indeed, if there is no message, people will go to the church, come out, and behave anyhow they deem fit to behave. So the pastors or our leaders in the churches are really letting this nation down. They are really letting the nations down. Look, there are some churches, if the pastor is beginning to preach the true word of God, unadulterated word of the Lord, you will find people pointing fingers at him. Your church may never grow. You will not get money, so and so forth. And the pastor eventually either stops or follows them in these dubious businesses that they do, calling it church. How can people be praying on water and oil for people to take to their homes? What is the Bible saying about that? What does the Bible say about that? People engage themselves in so many occultic activities and they call it church. I beg to differ.
You believe that the church should be able to have a brand that its people can identify with. Nana, once again, I salute your boldness and objectivity in respect of the issues you bring up for discussions. But once again, I can't wait for the opportunity to meet you. Ernest in Adenta. Ernest, good evening for coming under the oak tree this evening to listen and share the stories. But Mark is in Accra again. Hello, Mark.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm very good.
I think
Oh, Mark, your line is terrible. Your line is really, 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 really terrible. If you can call back, your line is really, really terrible. Ronald is on the line. Hello, Ronald.
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
And a happy New Year.
Many happy returns, my brother.
Yeah, I went on hibernation, but I'm back.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today, in fact, you've you've hit the nail right on the head of the or let me see on the wood or something. Or you've hit the nail right on the church. On the church, yeah. It's good for the churches to brand themselves. I mean, going forward, because gone were the days whereby you go to Presby. I was brought up in like we used to say, Basre. And there were certain dressing languages or even words that you are not supposed to, even as a child or growing up, you can't use. But now it's not like that. My church like this, if you're a lady and you come and you don't cover your hair, the security man will drive you away. We have the disciplinary committee in the church. If you come and then they see the way you are dressed, maybe your cloth or maybe you put on an underskirt, which is not maybe over your knee, they will ask you to put on cloth or cover yourself with the cloth. If you don't agree, you just be drive away. You just go home. They don't care whatever you tell them. They will tell you that's what they are being told to look for. Or make sure that when you come to the church or when you are coming to the church, you put on a decent dress.
So, so basically, if you want to associate with them, you abide by their rules.
Yes. It's not. I mean, it's not about you coming to worship pastor. But we are not coming to worship the pastor. But at least what we are being taught, we want it to impact you. Maybe you, the first person coming to the church. So that when you come the next time, you also make sure that you put on something nice.
Thank you very much. The line is getting so much busy. This one says, hello, Nana, good evening. And this is just, I think, in contradiction to your comment. So this one says, hello, good evening. It says, unfortunately, the church can only appeal to the conscience of its members. They cannot punish them when they go wrong like the schools does. The problem is with us Ghanaians. The state institutions are not working and citizens are taking advantage of the lapses in the system. As always, this is Selom, your loyal son from Dowenya. But Ajimai is on the phone. Hello, Ajimai.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, you know why nowadays there are a lot of indiscipline among youth.
Mm-hmm.
When you were young, if you don't go to church on Sunday, Monday, there's a problem for you. At school, they are going to discipline you. There's a roll call. There used to be a roll call at church. So that Monday, when you call your name, you didn't go to church yesterday, there's a problem for you. Nowadays, people are doing whatever they like. And there are some churches, they don't consider your lifestyle before giving you a position. But if you're able to donate, give enough money for offering and tithe, then when there's a position, they push you there. And about 80% of the so-called Christians are lions who are wearing good shirts or material. So the problem is, who are the Christians now? It looks as if there are different. I mean, it's difficult to find the difference between the Christians and non-Christians because a lot go to church, but the lifestyle in my church. When you see my church member, nobody will tell you that this person is a DBF member or not. The way the person will dress, the hairstyle.
What's your church? Let's give them some props. What's your church?
Bible Believers Fellowship.
Okay, Bible Believers Fellowship.
Yes. The guy whom I look on and go to the church, I was looking at the guy's life, and I asked him, Master, what is your church? I want to go to your church. And some of the pastors are afraid to preach, hit some people, because these are the people who give money in the church. So when you go that way, there will always be a problem. Others also contribute.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But that's the big question tonight, that, should churches be able to stand and own their flock, since they are shepherd and they are trying to shepherd us, since they are, basically have the monopoly of morality and rights, uprightness and the way to heaven and all that. Just as the schools are doing, because the schools are not saying, we'll bring about thieves or we're going to bring around rogues. The schools are saying we will build great nations of men. Should the church also say, yes, we are going to build great nations of men? Hello, Ben.
Yeah, Nana, good evening.
Good evening.
Happy New Year too.
Happy New Year to you, my brother.
Yeah, Nana, just a brief. I wish perhaps I had small. I would have narrated to you how a businessman, an estate developer in a certain popular church, who, by virtue of authority and contribution to the church, dared me to, report, go to the pastor and back, all because we signed up for business deal, it went wrong. My refund requested. I went as far as that senior pastor. And he told me, listen, if I leave this church, the church goes down. I virtually finance this church. The pastor cannot do me anything. He told me right in the face. And that was when I realized that, no, there's no safe haven anywhere. So, it's sad, and I'm lost for it. I wish one day I would tell this story somewhere.
I hope that the time comes for you to tell that story. 0302216541. It's an interesting one. And just thinking about how society is growing, how schools are growing, how churches are becoming extremely influential. Extremely influential. They're building a national cathedral, for Christ's sake. It doesn't get more influential than that. Maxwell is on the phone. Hello, Maxwell.
Hello, Nana.
Yes, boss.
Forgive me, where I am, there is noise, but I'll manage to say my mind.
Let's hear you.
It's good that today you are talking about the church. For my pastor, when he comes, he will tell you, hey, my friend, I'm coming to maybe come when me sorry call. He will tell you that's my church, Resurrection Power. So Reverend Anthony Kojobuachi. He will tell you in the face, hey, go and tell your partner that my pastor said you are not married. So today I should start you. So when you are able to do that, that's where you get your blessing from God. So it's good that our pastors they speak to us in the face, tell us the truth. Because it's like we are condoning sin too much in the church. All because puppetry and then tithe. But for my pastor, no, he doesn't condone sin. He will tell you in the face.
What's your pastor's name?
Reverend Anthony Kojobuachi.
Reverend Anthony Kojobuachi, very good. At least you're proud of him. But that's what I am talking about. That should these shepherds own their flock and know that, listen, when my flock go to feed by morning, they will be back by evening. Should they be? Or is it as people are saying that, listen, it's a liberal, I appeal to their conscience, they can go out there and later break traffic rules, don't pay taxes, insult adults, and then Sunday they are the first ones in the church to sweep and clean and sit and dance and jig, and yes, after church, that's the end of their godliness. Because the schools are not doing that. These school boys are ashamed, they don't want to associate. I don't want to base on the number one, but I just use it as a premises for a larger conversation. I'm sure if, some names, I don't want to drop names, comes and you put some school there, immediately the old boys and the people in the school do not want to affiliate with that person. Let me go to the phone. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
And that's my wife on the phone. Let me hear you.
Nana Nsakwa.
Yes, darling. Thank you.
Nana, you know what? We are all peace-loving hypocrites. And that is what the church has become. In fact, religious bodies have become. Pastors will condone child abuse. People who have been raped, defiled, and they will try to cover it up and tell you that, let's forgive. Have mercy. Some can even tell you, as somebody said, he's a financier in the church. He's a drummer. He's a musician. He's this, he's that. Or she's this and that. So we'll try and beg and appease. We are sacrificing people's lives in the name of religion. Some pastors are guilty of these things and therefore will not talk about it. It's a shame what is happening in our country today. And go to social media today. talking about people who have been abused sexually, and people are justifying it, blaming young girls and women and young men for being the cause of their defilement, of their rape. We should all bow our heads in shame, for we have failed ourselves, we have failed our children, and we have failed our nation.
Thank you very much. That was Gifty Sintim Misa. Official name. Awodanswa Gifty Auntie. Finishing it up all nicely. So the churches and the shepherds to stand up and own your flock and be proud that people who you shepherd will be upright. NS Menu is right here with the news bulletin and Overdrive. Abe Kusan Kufi will be rocking you. He will be on the ones and twos with Overdrive. Do not even touch that dial. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Anan Sakwa, and that was my opinion.